Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, things just heated up in Minnesota for real. Our young field general just sent another bold message after beating the Cowboys. In the middle of the line, a veteran has become the huddle's anchor. The fight for next year's draft slot is wide open, and we've still got a cornerstone protector with a knee that's acting up. But the last story, that one's about the leader of the offense getting a very public reality check. But before we break down every detail of this rundown real quick, stick with me. Subscribe to the channel. It's totally free, and it helps us a ton. It keeps this conversation going every day for everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. Hit the like button, too. That helps YouTube push this video to more fans in purple and gold. And in the comments, say what you really think. This is a shared space, and the voice of the fan base matters. All right, let's start with the first one because this says a lot about what we're watching take shape. J.J. McCarthy came out of that kind of Sunday night game against the Cowboys, and beyond the final score, he left a message for everyone who keeps doubting him. He posted on Instagram something like, "You're not behind, you're on your own timeline." And I get why that hits. The kid lost his entire rookie season with a knee injury. In 2025, he still missed 6 games. He dealt with a high ankle sprain and a concussion. So when people look at his career and judge him like he's already a veteran, you have to take a breath. What really got people excited was how he played the last 2 games. Against Washington, it was a big win, and he was efficient. Against Dallas, he completed 15 of 24. He threw for 250 yards, he tossed 2 passing touchdowns, he had 1 interception, and he added another touchdown on the ground. That's not perfect, but it's growth. To be honest with you, what I liked most wasn't even the stat line, it was the posture. He looks looser, quicker with his decisions, and less stuck trying to make everything look perfect, and that changes everything for a young quarterback. But there's something the fan base has to face without melting down. This team is out of the playoff race at 6-8. So these last games are basically a lab, a real one. The staff is going to want to see McCarthy command the offense early in games. They'll want to see him set protections, read pressure, and build chemistry with his pass catchers. Because in 2026, nobody wants to walk into the year still not knowing what they truly have. And then there's the part nobody loves talking about, but it's real. Competition could show up in the quarterback room. A veteran could come in. Someone could be added to push him, not to embarrass him. To make it clear, the NFL is ruthless and nobody keeps a job on reputation alone. And there's another angle too, the draft. A lot of people will say, lose to pick higher. I get it, but I can't root for losses when I'm watching the kid start to click. The best case is he plays well even if the rest of the team falls apart. Then you get 2 things, confidence in the guy and a higher pick. It sounds like a dream, I know. But that's the kind of thing that keeps fans in purple and gold locked in through the end of the year. Now tell me this, did McCarthy's message give you confidence, or does it feel like too much pressure for his age? Because the next story has a serious name in the huddle who's helping this kid breathe. The second story is the kind you only appreciate if you watch the entire game. It's not a highlight. It won't be a 10-second clip, but it changes an offense from the inside out. Ryan Kelly arrived and became J.J. McCarthy's steady ground in the middle of the chaos. And McCarthy said it straight. He said Kelly has a father-like presence on the roster. He's the guy you look at in the huddle and think, all right, someone sees what I'm not seeing. And look at the context. The front office saw what happened last year. The middle of the offensive line collapsed when it mattered most. So they brought in Kelly and Will Fries. And they also drafted Donovan Jackson. Jackson is already looking like a strong pick. Fries has played every game and steadied things. But Kelly has only played 7 games. That was because of recurring concussion issues. Even so, when he came back, the difference showed up. Because a center isn't just snapping the ball. It's recognition. It's command. It's pointing things out. It's feeling pressure before it turns into a disaster. McCarthy explained a detail a lot of people miss. Some run plays come with built-in criteria to change the call at the line. And Kelly will sometimes see it instantly and say, can it? And the quarterback doesn't even have to burn brain power on it. To be honest with you, that is gold for a young quarterback. You take weight off the kid's head and you let him play. And when the game speeds up, that kind of help is what separates a promise from a guy getting buried. Because Kevin O'Connell's offense isn't simple. There are 2 calls in the huddle. There are adjustments. There are formation reads. There are protections. The play clock is always screaming. There's cadence. And then there's that play call list that feels like a paragraph. Even veterans struggle with that. So imagine a 22-year-old quarterback with limited starts, trying to breathe and still organize everyone. Then you remember some ugly moments earlier this season, trouble breaking the huddle in a few games, lack of rhythm, dumb procedural penalties, plays that don't even get off because everything gets tangled. That kills any offense. But now, over the last few weeks, McCarthy is showing more control, more decisiveness, and O'Connell helped too. He shortened some of the calls and took a little pressure off the mechanics. When you combine that with a center who can see pressure coming, the field feels smaller, and the game feels more human. I'll go further. That partnership builds locker room confidence. The quarterback knows he isn't alone. The rest of the offense feels leadership, and the defense notices when the offense isn't handing out free turnovers. That changes the vibe. And late in the year, vibe is everything. Hold that thought, because the next story hits every fan thinking about the future. Where can we land in the 2026 draft with these last 3 weeks? Now we're getting to the part that always splits the fan base because it mixes hope with cold math. The third story is about how high or low our pick could be in the 2026 draft, and the range is pretty clear. Right now, the most likely window is somewhere between 10th and 18th overall. At the moment, with a 6-8 record, Minnesota is projected to pick 13th. And that can move up or down depending on these final 3 games. The logic is simple, but it hurts to say out loud. Lose, and you climb the order and pick better. Win, and you slide and pick later. But the piece that changes everything is McCarthy. Nobody wants to see the kid regress just to improve the pick. The perfect scenario is kind of crazy, but it exists. He plays well, he shows real growth, and the team still can't close games. Then you leave with confidence in your quarterback one, and you still gain draft ammo. To be honest with you, that's exactly the balance I'll be hunting on every snap from here on out. And when you look at the board, you see why moving way up is tough. The teams in the 7th through 9th range are sitting at 4 and 10. The Saints, the Commanders, and the Bengals. To jump them, Minnesota would basically need to finish 6 and 11 while they win out and finish 7 and 10. That's basically a movie plot. You can't depend on that. On the other side, sliding back is very real. There's a cluster of teams around us. The Dolphins and the Chiefs are also 6 and 8, and right now the order has Minnesota behind them because of strength of schedule. Then you've got the Cowboys, the Ravens, and other teams hovering near the same zone. If the Vikings win and others stumble, you can slide. You can fall to 14th. You can fall to 15th. You can fall to 16th, and you might even drift toward 17th. And that's when fans start feeling that sting of, man, we won games that didn't change anything and we still lost draft position. So what matters this weekend? It's not just Vikings versus Giants and that's it. It's a bunch of scoreboard watching. Falcons, Dolphins, Chiefs, Cowboys, Ravens, everything shifts the order. And it's funny because you catch yourself rooting for combinations that feel a little dirty, like, please let that team win so it pushes us up. And at the same time, you want McCarthy to play well. It's an emotional balancing act that only people who live and breathe Vikings football truly understand. And here's the warning. The worst case for draft value is the team stacking wins and suddenly being in danger of sliding all the way to 18th, because 18th is the lowest a non-playoff team can pick. And then you lose a shot at rarer talent, or you lose a stronger trade chip. That matters, but I can't talk about this without heart. The draft is important, sure, but culture matters too. If a team walks on the field accepting losses, that poisons everything. Then you roll into 2026 with a bad vibe. So it's a tight line. Compete for real, develop the quarterback, and let the rest of the roster show who deserves to stay. Tell me in the comments, would you rather fight for wins to the very end, or would you accept losses if it meant a higher pick? Because the next story is about a cornerstone player who might need to be protected or used to help McCarthy right now. The fourth story comes with that slow down, breathe feeling in your stomach. The team released an injury update on Christian Darrisaw, and when you're talking about a left tackle, there's no pretty conversation. If he isn't 100%, the entire offense changes. He missed the game against the Cowboys, and Kevin O'Connell explained why. There was swelling in Darrisaw's left knee during the week, so they decided to hold him out on Sunday night. Based on what came out, the plan now is to evaluate him week by week to see if he can play in these final games. And O'Connell tried to cool the panic. He said he doesn't see this as something that will follow Darrisaw into the future. Okay, that helps. But it doesn't erase the question every fan in purple and gold is asking, is it worth the risk? Because let's be real, the team is out of the playoffs. There's no January run. What's left is development, especially for McCarthy, and building for next year. So some people look at it and say, put him on ice and move on. And I totally get that instinct. Darrisaw is a pillar. He's a foundation piece. If you lose that guy because you got stubborn in meaningless games, you buy yourself a massive headache. But there's another side, and that's where the NFL is brutal. Coaches and players don't think like fans. They play to win every week because jobs, contracts, and locker room respect are on the table. And there's more. McCarthy needs protection. He's starting to loosen up now. He's starting to truly command an offense. To be honest with you, I go crazy just thinking about him taking unnecessary hits in these final weeks because, whatever, it doesn't matter. It does matter. A young quarterback takes hits and loses confidence fast, and then you take 2 steps back. So the dilemma feels like a father-son conversation. You want to protect Darisaw for 2026, but you also want to give McCarthy the best possible setup right now so he finishes the year with a clear head. And nobody can pretend the tackle doesn't affect that. One wrong step in protection and the kid speeds up his reads. He starts getting rid of the ball early. Then the interception shows up. Fans only see the quarterback mistake, but the root is often right there on the edge, and there's also the Darisaw factor as a player. These guys hate sitting. Even without playoffs, they want to play. They want rhythm. They want to prove they're fine. So if the knee is swelling, you have to be smart. It's not, he sat just because. It's managing practice. It's managing travel. It's managing reps. It's seeing what he can handle. And if he can't, you hold him out. Simple. What do I want? I want the staff to drop the ego. If it's reacting, rest him. If he's fine and the risk is low, play him. Just don't gamble with the future of your best blindside protector. That's asking to suffer, and hold on, because the 5th story is the heaviest one. This isn't just injury talk, this is public pressure and mindset. A Vikings legend is talking about our top weapon on offense, and it hits everybody. All right, this one hits the fan base right in the chest, because it involves our most talented guy on offense and a legend saying out loud what a lot of people have been whispering. Justin Jefferson had another quiet game against Dallas, and the recent stretch is ugly for a player at his level. 3 straight games with 22 receiving yards or fewer. On the season, he's only had 2 games over 100 receiving yards. For a player we're used to watching dominate any secondary, that feels wrong. Then Chris Carter stepped in. And when Carter talks receivers and mindset, I stop and listen. He went straight to it. He said that for the first time in Jefferson's career, this offense can't attack the full field. They're missing that aggression to stretch a defense. They're missing the deep shots. They're missing the space that opens everything else. And he said, you can see Jefferson pressing a bit, trying to force it because the numbers aren't coming. To be honest with you, I see it too. It's not selfishness, it's hunger. But sometimes hunger turns into rushing. Carter also pulled a Randy Moss comparison in the sense that a truly dominant receiver can start pressing when the offense gets inconsistent. And then, boom, the debate lights up among the Purple faithful. Some say it's the play calling, some say it's chemistry, some point to protection, some say defenses are doubling him. End of story. I think it's a little of everything. And that little of everything is exactly what turns a season into frustration. But Carter didn't just come to criticize. He praised how Jefferson is handling it. He said other receivers would have made it public, and he even pointed to how that kind of behavior can hurt a young quarterback's growth, and I'm with him on that, because if there's one thing that can wreck 2026 before it even starts, it's your offensive leader becoming a locker room problem. Jefferson hasn't done that. He's carrying it. And that's real leadership, and there's more. Jefferson himself spoke after the win over the Cowboys. He said the plan was to keep things simple so McCarthy could play freer. He said all 11 guys came in focused on winning and executing, and he praised McCarthy for leading the offense. To me, that's the biggest part of this whole story. Because sure, 2025 has been weird, the tape makes you want to toss it in the trash. But the bridge to 2026 runs through that relationship. The quarterback and the top target have to finish this year looking at each other and thinking, next year we're going to tear it up. So the question isn't, did Jefferson fall off? The question is, how does this team attack the full field again? How does O'Connell move Jefferson around, create one-on-one looks, and give McCarthy cleaner reads? Because if that clicks, this frustration turns into fuel. And I'll tell you what I'm feeling. Carter going public is both a warning and a push. A reminder that talent alone isn't enough if the offense loses its vertical threat. And now that the team is out of the playoffs, they can test it. They can adjust it. They can set the foundation. Because what's coming next will require a cool head and big decisions. Stay with me, because all of this ties into the bigger picture of where this team really is right now, even with how ugly 2025 has felt. I'm going to say it clean, because sometimes we talk around the truth. This season has been rough. McCarthy has shown growth in the middle of chaos. A veteran has helped steady him in the huddle. The fan base is doing draft math with a split heart. Darisaw has become a preservation debate. And Jefferson is getting checked by a legend because he hasn't been able to dominate the way he usually does. But here's my bold take. 2025 is not the end. It's a messy foundation. If McCarthy finishes these weeks with poise and command, we walk into 2026 with a path. If Jefferson keeps leading without blowing things up, the offense can breathe again. If the staff handles Darisaw with intelligence, the protection becomes a strength again. And with a solid draft pick, you can add pieces without panic. Now there's no escaping it. The locker room energy is about to be tested, because when there are no playoffs, that's when you find out who's truly a pro. And that's when fans in purple and gold see who deserves to stay for the next chapter. Drop your take in the comments. This space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. Are you more confident in McCarthy for 2026? Or do you still want serious competition in the quarterback room? Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go!